Welcome to the grim, lawless 23rd century, following the fall of USGov and mass depopulation of major cities at the hands of the multi-trillionaire DeHuberton family. Baptized in radioactive hellfire, a rare mutation makes Turbo a fiercely pumped scrapper, haunted by specters from her past, surviving the post-apocalyptic wasteland one deathmatch pit fight at a time. But when she rescues the stunning trophy girl, the unlikely duo are thrust into a harrowing odyssey, evading marauding berserkers at every turn on their way to the ultimate showdown as they uncover the horrific truth behind the fall of humanity.
All right, take it away, Jake.
Hello and welcome everybody to another episode of Making Turbo Pit Fighter. I'm here with Kurt. I'm Jake Jacobs, and we usually are inking and penciling in split screen, but this episode we are continuing to finalize the Turbo teaser. What we're doing here is packaging our first 12 pages into a promotional giveaway comic, mini booklet, whatever. And
we're not giving it away. Well, we're giving it. I guess we are giving it away in a sense. Yeah. Go ahead.
Basically, yeah. You make.
I don't want people like, give me a copy. Yeah, give me a copy. We do an indie comic exchange. That's what we do. But
yeah, I mean, if people buy a copy, which will be pricelessly collectible in the future.
Far after we're dead.
Yes, but if we recoup our printing costs on the sale of one of these, then it's basically just a promotion anyway. So I'm working on a couple of back pages, and we have a couple of characters here that we're playing around with. You guys see this small text here that you can't read because the nature of screens, looking at screens, but this is a Quark Express, a layout program from the old days that I'm still using because I don't want to pay the subscription fees for Adobe InDesign. And I have some, so this is going to be a 2-page spread, which is going to either be in the center of our 12-page comic or the last 2 pages of it. We haven't really fought that over yet, but planning on some QR codes here. That's what these empty squares are. And the rest is just some text. I got 12-point text here, 12-point text here. There's a lot of stuff here. This is really just dummy text now. This isn't the final text. But, I want to, right now I'm going to be bringing in another picture. Kurt, on the other hand, is on the right side, and he is inking the back cover to be printed. We have a front and back cover.
This is the front cover.
Oh, that's the front cover. It's going to have the mast. It's going to have the masthead above, and we'll have to fit the masthead, beneath Turbo with a little clipping, cutaway, and with her hand in front and stuff. So we are just getting the. It's basically bonus material, right? Usually we work on this comic and we're making progress to the interior pages, but once we finished a group of 6, we start to put this teaser out, and for a couple of weeks now, we've just been working on this bonus material. So it kind of slows you down, in a sense, but it's worth it, to get your promos out because, you really get the sense of the final product, what it's going to be like, and you're shaping it. I liken it to a band. You write a song, and instead of just recording it, you want to play it out a little bit, with 2 live audiences, and get a little feedback. And that's what we do. So we're working on our Turbo teaser number 2. And so I'll be doing some copy fitting today, and I do have another image to bring in right now, and I'm not sure if I should put it in on the left or the right. So I'm going to ask my collaborator Kurt here. Kurt, which one? So if I have a spread here, and one of these QR codes is going to just bring people right to the YouTube landing page.
Sure, the YouTube channel, yeah.
Yeah. What then about trying to bring people to the Substack where they can read more about, because one of these pages is going to be promoting Turbo, and it'll bring people to the podcast. And the other QR code, if we have another QR code here, is going to be bringing people to the Substack where they can learn about this right here, the End of the World timeline, featuring all of these. Oh, and I don't know if you noticed, Kurt, but look, there's an extra bullet here. So these are going to be like all the chapters, or I guess what do I want to say, subplots in this written timeline that I'm going to be offering as sci-fi writing content with some illustrations in a Substack that is going to be released sporadically or occasionally, or in installments. But if you notice, I added a bullet here. So we have the casualties featuring Esoterra and Hellclaw, and I decided Esoterra is going to be the first real superhero, but she's going to hate the label superhero, and all superheroes at that point are going to be kind of like carnival parodies of superheroes. But at this point in our future, there will be the ability for humans to, kind of modify, their abilities, and so they'll be like enhanced humans. And so the casualties feature, and so there'll be good guys and bad guys in that, and the good guys will be our heroines, and the bad guys will be bad guys. They'll basically be like Doctor Strange mystic villains, with these powers to like change things. We got Arrival of the Chronomorph Giantesses. This one, I have an update that I'm going to send you from my phone, because I took a photo when I was in the comic store. Wanted you to see what's going on. There was a DC comic called Doom Patrol on the stands, and they had a giantess on the cover. And it's, I don't know what the other power. Are you familiar too much with the Doom Patrol?
Yes. I will put a.
Here it is. I'll send you a copy of this so that people can see.
Okay. Yeah, cool. But, Simon Beasley did a run of covers for Doom Patrol, and they are ultimately some of the best comic book covers, American comic book covers ever made. All right, now you're seeing them as I'm throwing them up on the screen and everything. But that's one. Yeah. The other thing too is the Copra by Michel Fife. I'll throw his covers up. He does a fan story as an independent, and I came in contact with him in 2015 when I reemerged into the arts and comics field, and that is a Doom Patrol style thing. Now, I'm going to go out on a ledge, and in the comments, you can completely correct me, dear listener, but I think it's in tandem or competition directly with like the Suicide Squad. Is that
now? You mean nowadays?
I don't know. I mean, even back then. See, I never collected and read any of this stuff. Marvel, DC, especially DC stuff. But these Bisley covers definitely kept my attention. I didn't buy them. I just stared at them standing in the bookstore.
Yeah, Bisley is the guy that has a very Frazetta-ish painting style, right?
Oh yeah, he's the man.
And he also worked for Verotic Comics, I know, right, for a while.
Oh, he's done all kinds of stuff. But my point is, answering your question, I don't know much about them. I'm assuming they're sort of the anti-team. Okay. So once again, I don't know. Like I said, I don't know much.
It's an old property. It goes back probably to the 60s or maybe the 50s. it might have been one of those like golden age, silver age things that they just revived just to keep the name alive. But anyway, my point is that there's a giantess in the team, and I don't know if the people making Doom Patrol for DC are like clued into the fact that there's this whole what you want to call it, like a fetish or something, of giantesses in fan art and deviant art and online art. And it goes back to some of those other kind of, I hate to call them fetishes, but like a following of giant women, muscular women. They even have like
Attack
a
of the 50-foot woman.
Right, and then,
The
and
movie,
they and they go back.
Attack of the 50.
Yeah, they go back to the B movies for sure, right?
Yep.
And so tapping into that a little bit. I didn't mean to like to say, hey, let's go after the the fetish, the giant ass fetishist people. But I do have a storyline where there's a human enhancement, and one of the things that humans are going to experiment with in the future, once they discover these genetic modifications, which all stem from Elevaina's research, is going to be giantesses. And I think I just want to have a plot twist where it's just like females only, because if there's male giants and female giants, I don't think that would. I don't know. Maybe I am trying to tap into like the, the weirdo of the fetish. Is it wrong to say the?
I don't. I mean, I
Yes,
don't know if it.
It's
No,
discriminatory.
No, it's not discriminatory, but I mean, it's very narrow. I mean, you're speaking very narrowly. Like immediately when you started talking about, like, let's say a culture of giantesses,
Yeah, the
I
culture.
immediately went to, I immediately went to Game of Thrones and there only being one giant left, and how cool that was. Let's say there was only a few when Jon
There
Snow
was a couple of giants.
meets him on the other side of the wall. Obviously after some battles and stuff, they get down to one, and then they got to attack the wall and everything. Anyhow, I love giants, so I just think you bringing it in as a cultural element, I don't think it has anything to do with fetishism. Now, if somebody's fetishizing it, then you can't say yes or no to it, but you can say thank you.
Right. We are, I mean, in Turbo, we are expecting that we might get some fans who are into muscular women. It's not, like what we set out to do, but, like I say, for this series and for the other series, B Movie She Devils, where it's all going to be muscular women, I try to say that, this is the new, instead of like, just having big boobs all the time, having muscular women or fit women, seems to be like a better update of that. And with the giants, yeah, Game of Thrones, it they exploited the giants. They only cared about their fighting capabilities, right? Nobody was like advocating for giants, in the sense of like that they're part of that world. We didn't see any female giants, right? And so like the script writers just felt like it was just like a useful tool to like have a strategic military advantage by getting the giants on your side, right? Yeah, looking at this, I think I'm going to move this down. We're gonna have some. I'm gonna have some other text here, which will be some kind of explanatory thing. And I do want to make a clipping path around this guy. So yeah, back to this timeline. I haven't really sat down to write this, but there's going to be like uh, some researchers that start to create giantesses, and it only works with female chromosomes for some reason. We got the Secret Chronicles of the Duke, which I have been writing, and I have like 2 installments already of that, but it's kind of like rough. and I just need to like clean that up. I had a lot.
Yeah, I
of
read
the
letter. I read the letter from the daughter.
Right, and
You
then
sent me a copy of that.
I had the daughter's involvement, so that was from her mom, who worked for the Duke for many years. But then I also am going back to the origin of the Duke since his childhood, and I was thinking about making his parents like the inventors of sky cycle technology that get into trouble because they're here I wanted to try to tap into like what is going to be the future of motorcycle culture. You know how like there's all these people across the whole world that are into Harleys today.
Yeah.
Well, I was thinking what's going to happen once they do have flying scooters, once that technology actually
They'll be
exists.
Harley. They'll be Harley flying scooters.
Well, I was thinking about making the Duke's parents like some of the inventors of some of the technology that gets scooters off the ground in the very beginning, and then this huge movement of worldwide movement of kind of like biker club slash gang slash cult, but that has nothing to do with the Duke's parents. They just are patrons of the sky cycles all the time, and then antics ensue because there's like there is gangs and there is violence and territorial conflict and everything with all that, because imagine how much it'll change the world once there are flying scooters. That's going to be huge. So I've started to write about that, but I'm not sure if I want to make that. I mean, I don't know how real that technology could be, because you need a lot of propulsion, and if you're going to use like drone technology with the propellers to make these things move, and then have some other kind of propulsion like jetpack, which are real, I don't know if it's going to be feasible, to make this like a consumer product very easily. So maybe I'm rethinking that, but I did have some ideas for the Duke and his origin and his family and how he came to, I don't know, just, prominence, ever since he was a kid, and being a resistance fighter to the DeHubertons. Cromita the she-bot who built herself, I spoke to you about that a little bit. She's going to be part of the gang part of the supergroup with Esoteric and Hellclaw. But her technology is coming from an unknown source. And that's going to factor in with Elevaina's story too, who is Esoteric's daughter. Look, if you see this here, I added this in. And I was thinking about keeping this separate from our Turbo world, but I'm putting it in because the rise of the pleasure bots does not have to be a explicitly sexual comic. It can still be about sci-fi and conflict and everything. But I do want to comment on how it will break the family. So it's called Broken Family: Rise of the Pleasure Bots. And I'm going to have it where one of the DeHuberton family, could be a son, daughter, or cousin or whatever, is going to be like the Bob Guccione of pleasure bots in the future, and they will be using pleasure bots to recruit RM soldiers. Like if everybody that signs up gets a pleasure bot to keep at your house, and that's going to really break down the family. The birth rate will decline, and we're going to have all this like sociological stuff. So I put this back in, and another big thing that I came up with in the last week is I did go over some stuff where it's going to be Elevaina versus the unbeknownst one, the young unbeknownst one, and the DeHuberton family using the secret technology, or the unknown, unsourced technology that built Cromita, is also going to give Elevaina some oppo research on the DeHubertons to turn the whole world against them, and it's going to be all of this like video footage and audio footage of them like committing all these heinous crimes. So, and then they can no longer, deny to the public that they're a criminal enterprise. And that's when they are going to that's when they're going to call the order to depopulate the big cities, and they're going to blame Elevena for releasing that damaging footage. It kind of blew their veneer that they're this company, and that runs everything in the world, even more powerful than the government. And I think this is all going to be after the fall of the government, so this will be after 2222. So the pleasure bots are going to figure into that, because there will be this, like for generations, this way that they broke down society and the family anyway, into just males that what do they call, like incels, right? That all have a pleasure bot at home, and they don't have any desire for human connection anymore. And here we're gonna have the cults. This one's gonna be all about the cults and the Tuesday movement, which is basically gonna be a bunch of people that they do what's called what do they call it, mutual aid, right? So instead of relying on the government, they have their own movement of sustainable bartering and all that. And but it's all because they believe that the government is going to be overthrown on 2/22/22 that's Tuesday. That's been coming for decades and decades, and everybody's gearing up. And then art becomes reality when that's the day the DeHubertons pull the string, because why not? The sentience we spoke about, those are going to be the old people that stay alive for a long time in those host bodies made out of cool designs, chrome and metal, and the latest robots, but there's real organs in there. And then the Elevena saga. So here is where I'm going to bring in the picture of Elevena that I did, because I felt like we don't have enough art on this spread, and I think I'm going to bring it in over here. So I need a picture box, and I'm going to import, and I have pre-prepared this picture, although I probably need to Photoshop it a little bit to get the levels right, but I'm going to see if I can import. This is a picture box. So now let's acquire. I don't know why my keyboard's not working, but I'm supposed to be acquiring the picture now. Import. This doesn't seem to be working. I think I have to close Quark and reopen it, because none of the keyboard shortcuts are working. I had something to show. And did I send you all those covers of Moon Knight from the comic store?
No.
Okay, I'm going to send you them now. I was in the comic store, and that feeling when you have just money to burn, because I have this $200 gift certificate, and I probably have $180 something left on it. And I bought this so that I can do this segment right now.
Oh boy!
And I
bought something
I bought something I didn't really want. But it is a valuable illustration. We keep talking about these variant covers and this hateful gimmicky thing that they're doing on in comics. Marvel's doing it, DC's doing it, and I'm sending you a graphic right now, and you can see there's a display where I was in the comic store and I set up all the variant covers that they had right next to each other.
Oh wow!
And it's kind of amazing. You can display them. I just sent them to you. I'm sending you one more, because there's a message behind this. But the covers are all really good, right? It's great art and great poses of Moon Knight, and the insides of the book are all the same. This is Moon Knight #1, a variant. It's a Vengeance of the Moon Knight #1, right? And they say, all right, let's sell it with multiple covers, and I guess that helps sales. This is the internals, right? It's good art, but I see a lot of standing around. 2 pages in a row of standing around. Now we're on 3 pages. 4. Here's an action scene, but it seems like it's in a fucking. Oh, excuse me. It seems like it's in like a flashback sequence, and then we're back to standing around.
Yeah.
Here's some action. This looks like the Joker. I don't know what's up. There's only 3 panels on a page, not a lot of storytelling. So the insides are nothing to write home about. Look, you got pinup, and then right here a splash. You have a splash page on this side, and then on this side a splash panel, which mostly takes up the page. Very repetitious. Standing around. We're standing around. We're standing around. And then finally we get Tigra, and here she looks like she's like unleashed, but meanwhile, where's the action? Like, we just see facial expressions. I don't see any kicking of ass. This is kind of a cool pose. They have Tigra staring down this lady, and Tigra's like kind of built, her arms are kind of like cool. But let me see if I can get a view of this. Right? But this, but I bought this comic because I wanted to point out, look, just a bunch of like not a great internal comic, and then the end here is like a splash pinup, just like everything else, and then a bunch of ads. So what I wanted to point out was, that this one picture of Tigra in the whole book. There's a picture here, of Tigra, a whole page dedicated. Where is the Black Spectre? She's saying. And then this picture here, it's, they are really catching on to what we're doing, with like, making women seem really, really built and strong and muscular. And that is a thing now, but they're not like dedicating books to it. Sometimes you see like Wonder Woman, drawn in that style, and you do see published versions. I had on this show, on the other, on our other segment, I had the Hernandez brothers, I think Gilbert Hernandez, doing like a built Wonder Woman strip. But how are we gonna, what's gonna happen? Is this just gonna be the future forever now, with variant covers and one comic, and they're all #1, and all of these like popular characters? I mean, Moon Knight has had a lot of good artists on that. I don't know. Is the story so good that it like covers for all that? And the other funny thing here is, they had a Frank Miller cover, which I just sent you, and you can put it on board. Is Frank Miller just doing like a cover every month for Marvel, and then that's boosting sales by the thousands because everyone's getting the Frank Miller version? These are all the cover artists here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 covers. I only sent you pictures of like 6 of them. Crazy, right?
It's the sign on the wall is very, very evident. It's they're gonna have to change the entirety of their publishing model, which in short means they got to go to the manga, black and white, weekly anthology books, or just sell the rights to a company that will do it for them. Because I the whole entire time you were going on about this and showing all this stuff, who the fuck has $5 per comic book, 6 titles? I mean, you're talking like $100 a month just for 5 comics. Who the hell has all that money? Like, I don't get it. Like, I did not have all the way until I had a cash flow job in the early 90s. And even then I was only spending like 50 to 60 bucks a comics. I mean, a big month would be $100 for comics. Okay. But I was getting like, 7 or 8, 9, maybe 12 titles of something, European tomes and stuff. But who is dumping that much cash in there? And then is there that much of an immediacy in turning over a profit on a shelf book from a comic book store at cover price and then being sold on whatnot app or whatever it is? You know what I mean? Like, I'm completely confused. And I don't care. That's the other part. I don't give a fuck. I really don't.
I know. Well, I think
I don't. So, I mean, the longer you go on about it, it just makes me like absolutely completely lost to.
I love this segment. I love this segment. Because,
you do it just to get me all bagged up. I mean, it's just.
Well,
I don't understand.
Forget about liking it.
Okay, I will.
But this is what's happening, in comic sales, at least in the mall stores, they're I guess, and all the comic stores have to deal with this too. They're all just, putting out these variant covers, and I guess people get the one that they want. Do people buy the whole run? Moon Knight #1, 11 covers. No, I mean, because if they do, then they gotta have to pay extra for that super rare run one, and that's all designed to just maximize profits. So what I think is more likely, right? I mean, we're just talking about business here, right? What I think is more likely is that comic dealers might take the whole, what do they call it? Complete set, they call it, right? Because I've already seen this. Complete set of Moon Knight #1. One of every cover, including the super rare blah 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 cover. Made by Charlie Schmagegi. And then they're going to buy and trade those amongst dealers and moneyed collectors, as opposed to the lowly readers, right? Who who just want
I don't understand a word that's coming out of your mouth. I don't. I'm not even trying to be funny, Jake.
Collectible.
But it doesn't make it rings no. You just opened up that segment by saying that this is a business model. That's not a business model. That's a hobby trading system. But that's a hobby trading system.
Yeah, they're making it like a commodities market.
So are you saying that Marvel and DC are just basically a hobby business? Is that, they're just trying to get you the next Beanie Baby? You know what I mean? They're just manufacturing Beanie Babies?
They're trying to use their characters and their IP to make as much money as possible, and
I get that.
And also it looks like they're trying to create this secondary market, which they are gambling is going to take off, and it's going to help them in the primary market of sales. You can buy this comic for $6.99 now, but it'll be worth $100 later, and and I don't think that's gonna happen. I think a lot of these are gonna end up in the cheap bins. But
Beanie Babies, Beanie Babies, Beanie Babies, Beanie Babies, Beanie Babies,
creating. well, the plushies are on. That's the whole other side of the store. Is what they're selling now is just these plushies of.
Yeah, you said that last week. Yeah, I know.
Yeah. So you can't win around here. And I'm just a witness to it all. But it's. It's trying because
Hey, why don't you do yourself a favor and sell the gift card for $50 on That's Not App. Just do yourself the favor, please. And it's probably a favor to me too. Is just and what's your brother's phone number, by the way? Because I got to call him and tell him never to do this again because it's driving me out. Bonkers.
He thought
because it's like it's like you're trying. I don't understand what you're really like trying to figure out. Like, are you like for our business model? Let's bring it back into conversation that we're making our own indie comic book, right? Well, back in, let's say, like fanzine times of the 60s and 70s, that was how you got to become a comic book artist. That and putting submission pages together and getting in front of somebody. But that's not going to happen for us per se. Like it's not what I'm interested in. I don't. I mean, even if they handed me Conan on a silver tray, they just wouldn't allow me to do anything that I would want to do, that I do want to do. So that's why I do Crom the Barbarian. But I don't understand. What are you trying to understand about their gameplay that would then calibrate our business? Like, where do you think we fit into all of this nonsense?
We're an older generation, and the models are changing, and we're grumpy about that. But but society.
I'm not grumpy about it. I don't care.
Right. Well, I'm grumpy about it for sure. I'm grumpy about it for sure because I wish comics were. I wish there was more indie comics. I wish there was more distribution. I wish there was way for people to monetize a lot more easy.
What do you mean? What do you mean? You wish there were more indie comics? What do you mean? There's hundreds of thousands of independent comic books out there.
There isn't. Well, the thing about this comic
not being published every month, but there's tons. Well, I have like laundry lists. I have laundry lists of stuff I want to buy, but I can't because I can't afford it right now. I just keep every time I go somewhere like on Instagram, something pops up and I'm like, oh, I gotta get a copy of that. I mean, it looks great, but they all run for $20.
Yeah, well, because printing costs a lot of money, and then if you're buying it from
they got to make a living
shop,
and they got to make a living
for the guy behind the counter to get his Starbucks espresso, but if my gift certificate was for Forbidden Planet, it would be gone in one day,
Yep.
Because they carry all of the indie products. They have a whole shelf dedicated to everything down to the littlest zine, and and so that that's kind of what I'm lamenting is that we have a system that it's a gatekeeper system, that that favors Marvel and DC and Image and and whoever
I think it's completely. I believe it's completely in cahoots with Marvel and DC. I'll bet you, if you dug a little bit, Newberry Comics is partially owned by one or both of them. There's a connection. It's pipelining. It's pipelining trademarked crap, and the comic books are a part of the trademark crap. There's no difference between those plushy dolls and what these comic books are coming out. There's no difference because then when you put them into the secondary market, it's just based on who needs to complete, and as a completist, their set of plushy dolls or Moon Knight covers. You know what I mean? Like that's all I think their boardroom conversations are about because it's degenerated as a business model to that. It's horrendous. It's horrendous.
It is, and it's gotten so bad. I showed last week some of those like Mickey Mouse covers, and it's to the point where you don't even know what you're buying. If that thing would have been shrink wrapped, you can't even you have no idea what comic you're buying because you're just buying a Disney, tie-in cover. It's just bad, man. It's just bad. Anyway, this is the world we're in, and the same thing with the Marvel movies and the DC movies, that I go to because I've always been up for a bad movie. I'm into like even worse movies, but it's also, staying up with the cultural references, because I'm a teacher and I have young kids, and, that I want to know, what the kids are seeing, and you try to keep on top of, these big trends, like, Avengers 2 was the highest grossing picture in the history of Hollywood, and then like all these things that have come out since, that was like 7 years ago already, right? Maybe more. Everything that's coming out now, they're trying to do it again and again and again, and lightning in a bottle and all that. But it ends up, you are kind of like beating the horse too much. You are tiring out your viewers. They are getting weary of of some of these, but they're still huge. I mean, the latest one is Captain Marvel, so bad that they took it out of theaters prematurely, and I didn't even get a chance to see it. I was going to go see it with my brother because there was nothing else to see. I already saw the new Hunger Games, and I'm just looking for like something visual on screen while I'm eating my popcorn with my brother, and we're just goofing off, and and it was taken out of the theaters because it was so bad. It was Marvel's worst opening, and that was the Brie Larson movie with Captain Marvel, and the Ms. Marvel character, who's like Muslim American and teenager from New Jersey, and then this other Captain Marvel, Monica Rambeau. It didn't capture people's imagination. It does have Samuel Jackson, but at this point you don't know if the Iron Man and the Hulk appearances are even real people anymore, right? Because they brought the digital rights to to these actors, when Mark Ruffalo and Tony Stark and everything. They've very publicly signed away their digital rights to their image, so that Marvel can keep making those movies forever. Anyway, Rando, the next Marvel I think that's coming out is called Madam Web, and I spoke about that here on the pod. But and they have Dakota Fanning, I think, or somebody with a decent track record in Hollywood. That's going to be the young actress, but no idea what they're doing with the story. And it's a character. Madam Web is a character that made one appearance 23 years ago, in Fantastic Four number whatever, with Agatha Harkness or something, or she was a bad guy that had just appeared in a Spider-Man thing, and now she's the name of this new Hollywood movie with Kevin Feige, the director, and licking his wounds from Captain Marvel. We'll see. We just like one after the other. But yeah, I'm a sucker, man. I'm a sucker for that, just like I'm a
yes,
sucker
you
for
are.
a bad.
Yes, you are.
Just like I'm a sucker. Yeah, but it's no difference for being a sucker for a bad horror movie. There's no difference.
Yeah.
I saw. We looked up over the holiday. We looked up what is the worst movie on Rotten Tomatoes in history. And one of the worst ones that came up was I think I mentioned it here, that they made a horror movie out of Winnie the Pooh, a slasher movie, but a really bad one, and that was like ranked on Rotten Tomatoes as one of the worst movies ever made. And we watched it because we wanted something to goof around on, when we were all, the family was all together for the holiday.
Right.
So it's no different from that. I'll see those movies, and I'll see, because I want to see how they fail,
Okay.
And, and same thing goes. Like, I have a gift certificate for the movie theater. Same way I have it. I have an AMC in my wallet right now. I have an AMC stub because when I was on my field trip, I ended up with like 3 extra tickets that I had to pay for out of my pocket. So now I got the refund, and I'm going to use it. And there are good movies coming out. These just ain't one of them. Yeah. So this is the world we live in, man. This is the world we live in. You know, there's still
it's the
books.
world. It's the world. It's the world you live in. I have a profound stand against mainstream culture, mainly for this reason. Like the Discord in its popularity and its constructionism. You know, the thing, how it's being made, or all it's just it's of no interest to me. I will publicly admit, and there's a friend of mine who I worked with who can literally put in the comments if he's watching this how true this was. He was on me for almost 2 years to watch Game of Thrones. And the only reason I wouldn't watch Game of Thrones was because everybody was watching Game of Thrones. So therefore, it can't be good to my taste. My taste's good. I'm not saying these things aren't good or they are bad. I'm not even interested in that level of conversation. But I'm not even interested in that level of conversation. I am concerned with wasting my time. In other words, I don't want to get bought into something and then be dragged through it. Now, I guess it was like halfway through the second season, he told me what was going to happen. He goes, "There's going to be this episode. It's going to be called The Red Wedding. It's called The Red Wedding." And I'm just Kurt. Just start watching it now. Start watching now, and you will see, and then you will see it. So I watched the episode, maybe the before or 2 episodes before, whatever it was, and I was floored when that episode was over. I could not believe how that was done. And then even straight to the end, I was actually last night just watching a couple of things about DB and Dan, or whatever, these two, David and DB, Dan and DB, whatever, who, they're the producers and writers for the Game of Thrones series and stuff. But like even now, and the guy said it, the guy who did this little essay said it for me. The first 5 seasons, there's nothing comparing to him. Nothing comparing to him. I don't have a bad taste in my mouth because the last season is. I just feel it's not over yet. That's just how I go about it. But my point of it being more along the lines of like the mainstream is just not ever. Well, I see, once again, I kind of feel like I'm contradicting myself, because now I'm kind of dying to see the new True Detectives with Jodie Foster, because all the little things I've been watching on YouTube, the little essays about the episodes and stuff, I'm like, oh, crap. And I'm like, this could be what I think it's going to be. And so, because my favorite television show ever is the first season of True Detectives. And then it's Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
But all I've got to say is I appreciate you bringing this into our chat time, and I'm not a Nazi, but I do want people to know that, like, I don't care. I really don't care, especially when it's aligned with business. And then this is where I want to put my stand for the rest of my creative career, is in independent art making, and comics is a part of that. And I think we should pivot a little bit more, even while we're making our comics, to talk more about other indie comic people or other indie comic titles. But like I said, it's not for me to mandate that we do and don't talk about things, Jake, but I just think or I get more curious, and I ask people to put in a comment if they still want Jake to keep talking about stuff that when you talk about Marvel specifically and go into Newberry and stuff, I think it does get to a point where it's like, is it really that interesting? I could be completely wrong. Put it in the comments below. I mean, call me a dick in the comments below if that's what I'm being right now. But I would rather us spend our time keeping an open dialogue with other comic book creators that are actively pursuing their dreams in making their own stories be heard, not making a comic book because you hope you can make a comic book for Marvel and DC. That's the best way I can wrap it up, because we are over the 45-minute mark, and I will let you have your closing remarks, but that's all I have, and I can't wait to get into the conversation we'll have with one of my favorite independent comics. I just read this for a third time. It's unheard of, other than Conan material, is Relic Hunter by Adam Lemna, and we're gonna have an interview with him, and I'm so absorbed with the excitement of what he's bringing to indies. But yeah, so that's what I got. What do you got in closing, Jake?
Well, yeah, that was a lot of things all at once. I'll just say that I the reason why I want to keep tabs on all this stuff is because you want to see what not to do, how you can make your publishing different, and also to learn, there's always a give and take in giving customers what they want versus making the comic that you want. You can make the greatest comic in the world and then not sell a copy, but it's completely, you're completely satisfied with it. That there's always a balance with that. I love making you nuts, and if anybody else at home is nuts, you're following this whole thing, then that's good too. It's definitely worthwhile discussing and and finding out, when it comes to Marvel and DC and like an indie comic creator, I don't think the epitome of success in comics is where you get the call and it's like the editor in Marvel offering you, a great character. I think it's you get a call and somebody wants to option your script, for a movie. That's what I think is the epitome of success. But we've spoken about that too. So for now, you can just see, this is just our progress for this week, and I got my new graphic in here. This is the new picture of Elevena. It's going to have a lot of text about the Substack that's coming out soon, and then this page is going to be all about the Turbo world and Turbo characters. I guess I'm just going to have one QR code on the right hand side, and then not have one on this side because maybe it's too much QR codes. But
it's never enough QR codes. Never enough QR
really?
codes. Yeah,
right.
you gotta. I mean, I was only asking for one QR code to go to the YouTube Turbo channel. But when you brought up in the beginning the Substack QR code, I would say let's try to make that fit. But I'd also say that you're contributing to the Substack in a consistent way. So it's something that's kind of hinged to what we're doing right here. You know what I mean? Like yeah. So.
Yeah. All right. And they have to be 3 by 3 inches.
No, I just want the space. Like, I mean, I can measure this one right here.
As long as your phone picks it
this
up.
This is an inch and a half. So maybe 3 by 3s. How about give me 2 by 2s? Just give me 2 by 2s.
All right. Well, okay. This is for the channel right here. This will be
because we might even want to make sure we have some text underneath it or something like that. Just to make it a more focused thing to get people to know where it's going, where they're going if they snap it, because
Right. Okay. So they don't have to be so big. Good. All right. Yeah, that's all I got. People should tune over to our other channels. Right now, we're going to tape an episode of Indie Comic Exchange interview and meet some other creators, and then go to our other series where we have our flip throughs, and you can see us fawning over great comics of yore. So that's it for this week, Kurt. I'll see you next week.
Absolutely, brother. We'll see you.
I'm hitting save right now.
Yeah.
Don't